This is how they did it. The original intent of the 14th Amendment was to protect freed slaves from Southern black codes which denied them basic rights of citizenship. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment reads in part, "Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." The original meaning of this clause is that states couldn't take life, liberty, or property away from freed slaves except pursuant to the judgment of their peers after a fair trial where they could appear, cross-examine witnesses, and put on a defense. And by the way, this original intent of the 14th Amendment is proved by means of thousands of quotes from the congressional record by Professor Raoul Berger in his book, Government by Judiciary, The Transformation of the 14th Amendment, and this is online. But judges on the Supreme Court now use the 14th Amendment to fabricate new rights which negate rights God gave us and undermine the moral order. In 1973, in Roe v. Wade, 7 people on the Supreme Court looked under the word liberty and found another word, privacy. And privacy, they said, means women may kill their unborn babies. See, it's right there. Liberty, and then privacy, and then women may kill their unborn babies. Yes, they found in Section 1 of the 14th Amendment a constitutional right to kill unborn babies. In 2003, in Lawrence v. Texas, 6 judges on the Supreme Court looked at that same clause and found underneath the word liberty a constitutional right to engage in gay sex. We will soon find out how many judges on the Supreme Court find in this same clause a right to marry persons of the same sex. And while they eliminate human babies' God-given rights to life and our rights to liberty and property by forcing us to participate in unconstitutional programs and submit to unconstitutional laws and regulations, they purport to create new rights. The right to kill babies, the right to homosexual contact and perhaps marriage, the right to disseminate porn, and the right to spew hate and filth at funerals of American heroes. And by the way, all these issues, abortion, homosexuality, marriage, and speech, are issues reserved to the states or the people. These are not among the enumerated powers granted to any branch of the federal government. When we substitute judges for God as the source of our rights, the entire concept of rights is perverted, literally. Judges have redefined the word liberty from its original meaning of freedom from unlawful coercion from civil government to freedom from the moral laws. Here is the 4th position. The liberals and regressives say our rights come from government. They say a right is an entitlement to goods or services produced or paid for by someone else. So they speak of the right to medical care, the right to a free public school education, the right to housing, the right to food stamps. And thus, with the federal government's establishment of hundreds of welfare and entitlement programs, grants, and subsidies, They have created a purported right to live at other people's expense. This fourth view of rights is what has set us at each other's throats. Everyone who has his hand out is clamoring to have other people pay more. Our national motto was once, "In God we trust." Today it is, "Take it from someone else and give it to me." It is a contradiction in terms to speak of rights to stuff that is produced or paid for by other people. That is because it undermines our God-given rights to private property, to the fruits of our own labors, and to liberty. To hold that people may be plundered by civil government for the ostensible benefit of others is slavery. No one has the right to live at other people's expense. What must we do? As a people, we have stopped thinking. We uncritically accept whatever we hear on radio and TV, even when what is said contradicts the plain words of the Declaration and the Constitution. The Supreme Court's First and 14th Amendment jurisprudence perverts the plain meaning of the Declaration of Independence and the First and the 14th Amendments. We must become like the child in the story, "The Emperor Has No Clothes," when people, no matter who they are, say things which contradict the Declaration and the Constitution. Challenge them. But before we can challenge them, we must learn. Become familiar with the Declaration and the Constitution. These are amazing documents, jewels of Western civilization, and you do not have to be a lawyer to have a working knowledge of them. Look things up in the Federalist Papers. It's fun. When I first looked up the original intent of the Interstate Commerce Clause in the Federalist Papers, it only took a few minutes to find Madison's and Hamilton's papers on this, and within 20 minutes, I knew. I now knew more about the Interstate Commerce Clause than any federal judge in the country. Because we all learned in law school that the Interstate Commerce Clause means whatever the Supreme Court has said it means in its last opinion. Then we can speak the truth. Perhaps we can turn back the tide of ignorance and evil which is taking over our country. Thank you.